AITA for buying a murder house and not having a problem living in it. Throw away because I do not want this on my main. I'm 40 meters. My fiance Kara is 37. Her daughter Kim is 16. Kim's dad died when she was 6. Kara and I met when Kim was 10, but I did not meet Kim until we were together over a year and knew things were serious. My relationship with Kim is not parental, but we get along without fuss most of the time. I feel more like an uncle figure than a parental figure. Kara's mother was just in a major car accident, and she could not bring Kim due to her online school schedule. Kim had friends over without permission the last time she was left alone for a few days. So Kara asked if she could stay with me for the next few weeks. She does not have a firm return date yet and I agreed. I bought a house a few years ago and finished the renovations and remodel last fall. I got it cheap because a murder occurred here over a decade ago by now and no one touched it till I fixed it up. It is not like there was blood or anything anywhere, and the way I see it, someone probably died in most houses and buildings that exist. It sucks, but death is everywhere. Kim has been staying with me since Saturday, and she even seemed excited when I gave her the grand tour. I showed her the basement hangout and said she could have a friend or two over if she wanted, so they could have some fun. I know she is worried about her grandma after all. I even showed Kim the room I put together for her, which made her cry cause she must have thought she had just been in a guest room. I wanted her to feel at home because this would be her home when she and her mother move in. Things were going great until I found Kim crying in the kitchen this morning. She went for a walk when she woke up and upon chatting with a neighbor down the street, learned about the murder that happened here. The neighbor was very descriptive and told her far more details than I knew. And Kim asked why I did not tell her. I was honest and told her that I know a major crime happened, but it was over a decade ago by now. It is not that I do not care, but the price of this house was too good to pass up. No way I could have afforded a house this nice and this big under normal circumstances. Kim demanded that I sell the house because she does not want to live here when she and Kara move in with me. I told her that is not happening. Kara is too preoccupied with her mom to deal with this right now, but Kim is at my throat. Kim thinks I'm cruel for not caring enough about her to sell my house. And when I told her that I care about her and even made sure she has her own room, she snapped and said that I just do not get it. Am I an asshole for not having an issue living here? Now, you can validate Kim's feelings and fears without agreeing to her demand to sell the house or even really acknowledge it. She is away from home. Her mom is gone. Her grandmother is in the hospital, and she had a traumatic loss as a child. Death might feel all around her. Houses can feel weird and scary at the best of times. I'm glad I did not live in a murder house as a teenager, because man, did my imagination already run wild. She is legitimately scared. You legitimately are very upset and concerned that she learned horrible details from a neighbor. That is an awful way to find that out, and details can stick in your memory. Do not brush it off. Take it very seriously. Tell her you cannot put selling the house on the table right now, obviously, and need to figure out how to get her through the rest of her time there. 1. Ask what the neighbor told her. Little details can be what makes it so real and awful. 2. Figure out if there is a part of the house that feels scarier to her. The basement maybe, the room the crime occurred in. 3. Ask her about her beliefs. Does she believe in ghosts, bad karma, houses holding on to emotions? 4. Play out what she thinks might happen. Talking about it will help. Does she really think a ghost will come? Or does she just feel IP in the house? Does she think that living there will turn you all bad? 5. What can you do now, today, to help her feel better in the house for now? Are you religious? Can you do a house blessing with a priest or pastor? Visit the victim's grave and bring flowers. Sage the house. Keep the lights on at night. Say a prayer. Do not hold a seance. That is horror movie territory. 6. So it was an abusive man who killed his wife. Talk to her about the reality of how dangerous abusive relationships are. But this was not a stranger who crept through the window. And it was not someone normal who flipped a switch and murdered his wife the next day. Abusive relationships can be viewed a little like alcoholism. Everyone knows how dangerous it is. People can see that it is getting worse, but you cannot always convince the person to stop until it is too late. It is awful and horrible. But it is not something that is happening in your life for Kim S. And not something that she is in danger of. Really push on the side of hearing and believing Kim S fears and not dismissing or explaining them away. Tell her how sorry you are that she found out like that. Tell her how sorry you are that she is staying there with you with this new information and unable to go home the second you dismiss or brush off her concerns. It is another horror movie trope that just goes to show that you will be the first to be killed. Whenever she talks about selling it, say, well, I cannot sell it this week. So let us talk about how you want to get through this week. Also let us wait until we can talk to your mom about it is a good line. Because of course your fiance will be on the side of do not sell the house. But that puts the conversation off for a bit until her mom is there. Nah, but your neighbor, what were they thinking? I do not think Kim has a right to demand you sell your home. But I'm gonna give her leeway for being uncomfortable and anxious due to her grandmother's situation and your neighbor being inappropriately detailed about the murder. Now as a rule I don't like to call teenagers tahir. Especially ones going through major life changes like Kim is, which is why I said na versus NTA. Teens behave irrationally to adults all the time and they have big emotions. It is not surprising to me that a teen is more creeped out by living in a murder house as you called it than an adult who understands the cost of homes and the fact that death happens everywhere. Teen horror movies literally use murder houses as plot devices. Especially given she was told this by a stranger and given too many details instead of having a trusted adult explain the house's history to her and why it is not dangerous to live there now though. If there is any us in this story, it is the neighbor. You obviously shouldn't feel any obligation to move because a teen who want to be living in this house forever isn't into the murder vibes. This response really helped me see a new angle that I had not considered. I think that considering the details it was domestic abuse, a man killed his wife and the fact that her mother and I are about to get married. Okay, the gears are turning. I need to have a serious heart-to-heart with her tonight. Hopefully dinner from her favorite place will help. Thank you for your perspective. Now, Kim is young and impressionable and has probably seen too many horror movies. I understand why she is scared and creeped out. But no, you should not sell the house and you are not the R either for thinking she is overreacting. The trick here is for her to flip her view around. You guys are not living in the ashes of murder. You are giving a wonderful house a chance to be a beloved home again. Ask Kim to think of the house like a dog. If a dog saw his owner murdered and was terrified, would she want the dog put down so no one else could own him? Or would she want to take the dog in, care for him, love him, and give him a new chance to enjoy life? That is exactly the same here, but with a house. You may even want to look into having someone come and do something like a sage ritual to cleanse the spirits, or hold your own sort of wake to speak to the dead and make peace. Ask for the victim's permission to live there. In other words, do not just ignore the discomfort she is feeling. Embrace it and actively work to dispel it. It may turn out to be an amazing bonding experience for the two of you, and she will wind up very attached to the house. NTA. Of course you do not have to sell the house. Your talkative neighbor is a huge R. Kim is having an age-appropriate reaction to learning that she is sleeping at the site of a gruesome murder while separated from her parent and stressed about her grandmother's health. Tell Kim that you cannot sell the house, but ask her what you can do to make her feel more comfortable there. Maybe she will feel better after a priest or other spiritual authority comes to bless the house. Now, I am a realtor and have seen firsthand how people react to a murder or suicide house. Some people feel just like OP, where it is no big deal to them, and they see it as a good opportunity because it is priced low in comparison to other houses. And some people see it like Kim as a scary, depressing tragedy they want no part of. I've had buyers walk away from houses they loved because they couldn't accept that a murder or suicide happened there. The difference here is that you had the choice to buy and live in this house. Clearly Kim doesn't have that choice. How does your fiancé feel about moving into a murder house? Does she know? Did she know that Kim would be that upset by it? Did you? You're entitled to your feelings. But Kim is entitled to hers too. I'm a practicing pagan. One of the things I do whenever moving into any house is cleanse it and ward it, if it is a rental, to get rid of all the bad or unhappy emotion about moving. If I own it, to make it from a house into my home. Plus get rid any prior bad stuff. I do this for others for the price of dinner. Literally, the last thing we do is have dinner to celebrate. The covered 20 means that I cannot fit my robes anymore, but I have been meaning to make new ones anyway. As a realtor, it might be a good idea to hook P with various religious practitioners for house cleansings. Yeah, someone died here, but we had a religious practitioner come and do a full cleansing and a blessing. NTA, like you mentioned, many houses have had some sort of death happen, especially older houses. I can understand the uneasy feeling at first, but it seems she had rather let emotion play out than to understand the situation as you explained it. We make hard choices as adults, and it sounds like you made the best of the situation and came out with a sweet deal. Death is part of life, no matter how gruesome, and accepting it is not easy for those with soft hearts. Now, except for the neighbor, that was a total move on their part. Going into grisly details about something like this with a 16-year-old one who they do not know is not okay. Now here is where I will likely get downvoted. But if Kim is at all superstitious and or religious, offer to have someone from the local clergy of a faith that is the closest to her personal beliefs come over to the house to check it out. Some people do not believe in it, but other people do, and sometimes just the offer can be helpful. Now, Kim is freaking out because to 16-year-olds, everything is a big deal. I say this as a 36-year-old woman who used to be a 16-year girl, and who suddenly had to share living space with a teenage girl last year when my roommate moved his girlfriend and her daughter right to his house. Holy shit. Everything was a drama. She is not thinking logically about your amazing deal of a house. She is terrified of the neighbor's gruesome details and only thinking about how she is about to be trapped in a murder house for her entire high school career. Do damage control for now, until her mom can be part of the conversation. Her favorite dinner is a good start. Try and listen earnestly to her fears. Acknowledge them and the fact that murder is scary, and turn the discussion to how you can all give the house a fresh start as a new family. I can understand why Kim is freaked out about living there, especially after your neighbor filled her in on the details. But it is your house. You bought it with your money. NTA. Just as an aside, it might be worth researching the crime on your own to make sure your neighbor did not embellish. I agree with pretty much everything people have posted so far. Now, except for the neighbor, I just wanted to suggest, maybe before you talk to her, ask her exactly why she feels uncomfortable living there. She said you don't understand, so once she is more calm you could ask her to explain. She might notice flaws in her own logic when saying it out loud, or you could gently point them out. There are many reasons why she might feel uncomfortable, so it can be hard to help her rationalize the situation. If you're really not sure what the root of the problem is, it might be something ghosts, for example. But if you start explaining that ghosts don't exist, and it turns out that's not the reason, she might just get more frustrated and say you don't get it. Try to validate her feelings and make sure she understands you want her to feel comfortable. You should obviously not sell your house, but see if there is anything else you could do to make her feel better. Now look, I can already imagine the number of people calling Kim entitled or bratty, and I want to make it perfectly clear that her feelings are completely valid regarding this. You might be okay with living in a murder house, but that doesn't mean everyone else is. Doesn't make her a bad person for being uncomfortable. And I am gonna be blunt, but did the murder involve rape? And did the neighbor include that in what they told a 16-year-old girl? Cause like you said, death happens, but personally that would make me have the same reaction as Kim. And honestly, ya should then at the very least mention the history to them. When ya were buying the houses, it seems the long-term plan was always for a while to move in together. That is a little weird to me as well. Do you want the input of your future family in regards to your future shared home? I don't know, at end of the day this little thing could have been avoided had the whole truth been communicated and aired out from the start, but is what it is now. To answer your first question, no, it did not involve rape. However, it was unfortunately domestic abuse. I do think that I have a better idea of how to talk things through with her now, though, thanks to the input I have received. I was planning on sitting them down and discussing the house's history soon anyways, due to their lease ending after the summer. But I had not thought that my neighbors would gossip about what happened before I could talk to them first, especially Kim because she is still a kid. NTA. ID check. What your neighbor has said is factual and not dramatized over the years just in case. It is not wrong to move into a house where someone has died murdered, and it is unrealistic for her to expect you to sell the house unless you verily increased the value and it is beneficial. ID say give her some time. Her mom is not there. Her grandma is ill. She isn't at home and now she is trying to get her head around this. She might calm down once she has processed everything. Thanks for watching. Consider subscribing for more videos.